Design is subjective. There's just no way of getting around that fact. And architecture, in a lot of ways, is the art of convincing people that your design moves were the right moves. And one of the ways you can convince people is through case studies. I think of case studies like a shield. If you present it correctly, it can be a very powerful way for you to defend your design moves, especially if you're choosing a project that's been successful before, and it's been done by a well-known architect. It can build a very solid foundation for you to build your design strategies from. And it can be a lot harder to poke holes at something that's been proven to be successful before. There is a lot of information out there on how to do case studies, but not so much on how to present them. So if you're looking for information on how to do them, this is not the video for you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to present them in a way that's informative, in a way that's engaging, and in a way that can create a bulletproof defense for your project. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Dami and I'm an architect based in Vancouver. On this channel, I make videos about architecture, design, and creativity. One of the reasons I started this YouTube channel is because I miss the presentation and storytelling aspect of architecture school. And so this is a process that I love, and it's a process that I'm always trying to refine. But this is a fun topic for me. So when I started architecture school, I was absolutely terrible at presentations. I would get stage fright, I would get nervous, I would shake, I could hear my heartbeat. And of course, I would work right up to the presentation. I would have pulled like 2 all-nighters before. I would basically wing it every single time. So as you can imagine, they did not go very well. It wasn't well into my second year of architecture school that I sort of started to get the hang of it. I think it was a combination of like actually liking my projects and being proud of them and wanting to tell a story that kind of did it justice. And also getting a little bit better at time management so that I could plan out my presentations beforehand. So slowly I started to improve, but it was actually in my thesis year when I really started to strategize on my presentation technique and sort of build a system around it. So this is a strategy that I've refined over years and years of presenting my own work and from observing other people present. Nobody actually taught me this, so it is a little bit different from the standard way of presenting your case studies. But throughout my bachelor's and my master's, I did receive numerous awards for my project. And for my thesis, I received the AIA Henry Adams Award, which is the highest honor you can get for your thesis project in North America. And I attribute this a lot to my presentation methods. Just before we start, let's just cover the basics. What are case studies? Case studies are when you study an existing building or an existing project, usually a well-known piece of architecture, to inform your design. If you want to design a chicken coop, you don't really want to start from scratch. You want to see how other people have done it. You want to see how other people located their chicken coops, how they shaped it, how they placed the doors, and you want to learn from their mistakes. And you want to use that to inform your design. A lot of times students present case studies as a formality because it's a requirement, but that is such a missed opportunity. You are using your precious minutes of your presentation time to talk about someone else's building. So you want to use that to prepare the viewers for what they're about to see with your design. So how do you present case studies? So I like to call the strategy SAM. Simplify and multiply. So first, simplify. So presenting a case study is very different from doing a case study. When you're doing a case study, you might learn a lot of different things from it, but when you're presenting it, you just want to show the aspect that you're going to be employing in your design. and then you want a diagram. Graphics and visual continuity is key. You want to take the plan, elevation, and section, and you want a diagram on top of it. And multiply. Instead of just studying 1 or 2 buildings, do multiple. So I read an article a long time ago about why architectural research is so slow to progress compared to other disciplines like science or medicine. And apparently it's because we usually tend to create a unique one-off solution to the design, as opposed to collecting a massive sample of architecture and creating statistics. I mean, this is the fundamental tool behind scientific research. Like, they take a massive sample and then they make some assumptions based on that. And so we want to do the same thing. We want to study a bunch of different buildings, and we want to show, hey, look, like all of these different buildings achieve the thing that I want to achieve by doing it this way. And you want to show that you have that understanding, especially if you want to deviate from that and come up with your unique solution. I mean, if you just show 1 or 2 case studies, no matter how successful that project is, it's not really a good defense for your case, because you know, those buildings could have had really unique conditions, like they could have had a really unique site or a program, right? So it's not really a good basis to build your design off of. And just one more thing before we jump into the example. The common advice is to study a building that has the same function as the function that you want to do in your project. But in my humble opinion, that is not always necessary, because most architecture is a unique response to a site or a program, and you want to create your unique response. So I wouldn't really base it on the function or the program, but I would base it on the feeling or the atmosphere or the way you want people to behave in that particular space. And I would try to emulate those in your design. I'll kind of show you what I mean in a sec. Just a little background, my thesis project was called A Library of the Mind, Explorations on Slow Reading, Browsing, and Serendipity. And I was looking at our culture of speed and productivity and how that has affected our culture of learning. This has also had a pretty big impact in our building typologies in our libraries, where we went from quiet reading rooms to large collaborative working spaces. And so the physical thing that I created was a library in Venice. And through the project, it was a discourse on all these different aspects like learning, innovation, serendipity. So this is the first page of the case study page. And as you can see, I'm not showing the buildings as the main focus of the page. The title of this page is Visual Harmony and Moment of Pause. So you can see here, I've given 3 examples of buildings that have achieved visual harmony through the use of proportions. So as you go through these projects, you can give a little spiel about the significance of each project, but the idea is that the visuals, it speaks for itself, and it's very easy to convey these architectural elements without you having to say a bunch of things about it. So just be strategic based on how much time you're given for the presentation. If you're only given 15 minutes, you kind of wanna breeze through this. If you have like half an hour, then you can go a little bit more in depth into each building. And in most cases, the case studies that you'll be doing are buildings that like your peers and your professors will know about, because you are speaking to an architectural audience. So like you shouldn't have to go too much in depth in describing like the particular significance of each building. You just want to distill the qualities of that space that you're taking into your design. The second one is rhythm and movement, which is important in slowing us down psychologically and physically before we enter our reading space. And so I'm showing how these two examples are doing that. The first one through a series of arcades, and then in Exeter Library through a series of colonnades. And the third one is about nestling, which is all about the architecture itself, creating an enclosure around your body so that you can sit comfortably and read your books. And then the next one is narrative sequence, which is creating special, memorable moments in the space through distinct architectural elements. And then we have degrees of privacy / intimacy. And I'm showing how these three buildings have created a buffer between the outside world and this intimate space of reading, both physically and psychologically. And then the last one is the design of the stacks and browsing, which I talk about as an important feature in creating serendipitous discoveries. And then once you go into showing your project, you can use the same graphics into your building. So I'll show you an example here. So this is the pathway approaching my building. So this labyrinthian pathway, and you get into this narrow, low, dark corridor, and bam, you come into this open, grand courtyard. And you see here, I'm using the same graphics I was using in my case study. And if you want to reinforce it a little bit more, on the next page, you can show the visuals that you were showing in your case study on the sides. I typically try to create visual continuity, so I'll have the same graphics here and here, but I'll just change the color of the background just so that like I'm switching back and forth between my design and the explanation of my design. And you really have to do this for like a split second throughout your presentation, just so that your audience understands, okay, like I understand where that architectural element is coming from. And then again, back to your building. You circulate around the courtyard through a series of rhythmic colonnades to slow us down psychologically and physically before we get into the library. And then the next page, I have the same graphics as I had in the case studies. And then on the next page, I'll show a render. And I'll just keep doing this throughout the presentation. And so as you go through your presentation, you're reinforcing the reason why you made certain design moves. And at the end of your presentation, you can really focus on discussing your ideas, not like, oh, why did you do this? Like, why didn't you do this? And hopefully it opens up the room for a more open discussion rather than like a critique on your design. And if it is more of a direct critique, then you are able to speak more intelligibly about your design moves, which is really the point you want to get to. So I hope you guys found this helpful. And if you have any questions, just let me know. If you enjoy this video, I think you will also enjoy one of my other videos where I do a quick architectural design process from beginning to the end. And in that video, you can also see me attempt to do a headstand.